it was early 1980 something, and it was a Saturday morning, and we were all here, right here. We were at the park, me, Stuart, Stephanie, Stiles, and Daddy, and there was work to be done. I think those was the last words. If you spent any time around Daddy, you knew he was busy. He was busy contributing to others. As kids, we like to call that work. So we quickly left the house, and Mama got in the old silver station wagon, the red interior, and she was off to Mama the Bourgeois. And the rest of us piled in the back of Daddy's truck, a little white Datsun pickup truck. It was a real jewel. I mean, seriously, it had stars on it. You may remember. It had a blue pinstripe down the side, all around the back tailgate. We'd cut a manila envelope and sprayed the stars on ourselves. So it was a real nice truck. So after about the 1-minute commute down here to the park, we bailed out of the truck, we followed Daddy's lead, jumped on something, picking up trash here, stacking chairs, moving tables. The baseball registration was later that day, so we were just getting that ready. And with all the work complete, we just, normal position, like putting rabbit dogs back up, we jumped back to the truck, and everybody got their legs on the, we all sit on our spots on the tailgate, and legs are dangling in the air. It was fun for us. I mean, we loved riding back and forth. So as we watched the gravel pass below us, like, probably 15, 20 miles an hour back up the road over here, I remember looking over my shoulder and seeing Daddy, there he was, big red mustache, big blue eyes, and all of a sudden I heard the rabbit dogs barking off to the side over here. So I looked, and then all of a sudden I realized we had hit a pothole. The truck went down. We all went up. And we were simultaneously in the air, like looking at each other in some slow-mo fashion, like, right? So we landed perfectly back on top of the tailgate all at once. And it just so happened that the chain we stole from the swing set was not strong enough to keep the tailgate in place. And the tailgate dropped like a trapdoor, boom, we're all down, and we're just scattered everywhere across the gravel road, So as my life passed before my eyes, I was like, man, many memories of this park have come to me. And I'll just try to give a few of them now. I remember being in that pool every day. And you all remember my hair turning green every summer. I remember trying to mimic every jump that Uncle Benji would pull off that high dive board. And it normally resulted in me crying on a long swim back to the ladder. I remember my first job out here picking up trash as part of that maintenance crew, like Willie just said. And I remember trying to run up and pick up all the cups before the lawnmowers got to them, because a lot of my older cousins and younger uncles who drove the lawnmowers liked to chop them up in 1,000 pieces before I got to them. True love. I remember football practice and chasing Marty Gautreaux, seldom successfully catching him. I remember Steve Boudreaux schooling me in tennis every time. I remember winning the dance contest at the sock hop right there where that camera's almost standing with Therese Edson right there. She won a curling iron and I won the Thriller album. Michael Jackson just come out with it. Beat it, yeah. I remember Aunt Dana visiting the pool one day. She walked up and William was in his lifeguard stand. And I was in, my St. Louis swimsuit, my patch. I ran over there, she walked away. And he looked at me in the eye and said, hey, if you're lucky, a lady like that one day might visit you. There you go. She did. She was back, yeah. I remember me and Coy Moran, Ashley Phillips, we snuck out of the house over here on Stringer Bridge Road. We made it all the way down there. The ryegrass was real tall. You could plant it. You could crawl around and you could fall. We kept following each other around this ryegrass. So we probably spent 3 hours out here until we saw this Caprice Classic coming down the road. And it was Daddy, and he let us know he was not happy with our time out away sneaking. I remember the red team and Uncle Ollie. I remember Carlton Savoy and the gold team. I remember being run over at home plate by Ricky Richardson. I remember Aunt Jill and Aunt Kathleen hosting a birthday party right out here in that little pavilion by the park. And it involved putting a toothpick in your mouth and exchanging a lifesaver with somebody next to you. And my lips got really close to a bunch of cute girls, so I still appreciate that for them today. So thank you so much, Aunt Jill and Aunt Kathleen. I remember that Uncle Dean's team always won the beer trophy. I remember cup ball. I remember fireballs. I remember the Cubert game that used to sit back there in the corner. Yeah, you remember it, right? I remember growing up at the park. But I can tell you, as my momentum ran out and I made my last flip backwards across that gravel road, I could hear a slow moan just groaning behind me. And I turned around to a similar location where he's at right now and I said, Stu, are you all right? What do you remember?
At that tailgate, I remember hitting the ground and I looked up and seeing stars. But it was the bottom of that tailgate. And the stars were in the blue stripes in that Datsun truck. There was lots of pain, and complete confusion over what had just happened. It was crazy. I remember Dad taking us boys to go practice baseball at the fields here. Specifically, he would hit us ground balls really, really hard from 30 feet away. And we were backed up against a fence. So I remember going help Mom during her tennis lessons. We would line up like we were the little net boys in Wimbledon. And we would run around grabbing all the balls for her as she taught forehands and backhands to all the students, and she taught us, of course, at every lesson. We appreciate it. I remember camping and being barefoot as often as possible. Stiles and I would tag along with Spencer when his guys went camping, and we continued to camp out with our cousins and friends over here where the second field's at, as often as we could. I remember sleeping around the fire and staring up at the stars, and all of us talking about the things boys that age still do today. We would play kick the can or capture the flag until the sun came up. I remember the swimming pool probably the most, like we all do. I remember the day I finally perfected the 1.5 off the high dive and feeling completely confident that I could do the 2, full 2. I quickly remember seconds later regretting that confidence terribly. I remember the times when Dad would stop by the pool on his way from work. He would lean on the fence, watch us do our tricks, and he would smile. Back to the tailgate though. After the confusion had cleared, I remember thinking, Stiles was right here to my left.
This for Big Raj. Wow.
Jack.
I never will forget the tailgate incident. We were headed to Momo Schut's house. So we fall out. Daddy says, "Get back in the truck. Your mama's waiting." This was Dad's attempt to hide his true fear as a father, which I understand a little better now. Sorry. I remember being very young and walking up on our dad performing a backwash in the pump room at the pool. I stood outside in complete awe. The room was producing horrific noises and the chlorine smell unbelievable. He was in the middle of this mess. At the time I was thinking, this man's crazy. I now realize that this was the beginning of the learning to be had from my dad and the park. I remember the good old days, eating Frito pies and drinking suicides. Not running suicides. This was a drink made at a concession stand, 8-ounce cup, every fountain drink, all 4. Crazy. I remember walking home in the dark, skipping rocks off the asphalt to see who could make the biggest spark. Excitement. Trying to play hacky sack with Uncle Dean, Stacy, and Uncle Benji before their softball games. I remember trying to scrape the bottom or jump into the kiddie pool without scraping your bottom. Smart, 8 inches at least. I also recall inventing a new dive. I did a couple dances too, but it was labeled, y'all remember? Yeah. The lady dive. Bam. I remember my first organized sport, T-ball with the baby blue team. I too remember the park. And Steph, I'll never forget that day as I looked at your face as you sat in that pothole, following our fearful dismount from that tailgate.
I remember the pool and Aunt Kathleen replaying the tape, "Don't mess with my tutu." I remember Uncle Benji do a million flips in a row off the high dive, and then being really young and the dreaded deep end. And we should have never watched Jaws. And me and Andrea were so scared of the drain, but we still were up to the challenge, and we would go down and we'd try to touch it with every jump. And then we could barely swim, so we held on to the edge around the entire pool until we could swim very well. And then we never left the pool. I remember we jumped the ditch at Aunt Phyllis and Aunt Monica's house in near life and death situations. And Stuart's ideas were much better thought out. But Sal's ideas were much funnier. So we did a mixture of the two, and only half of us got hurt. And that was fun, and we laughed the whole time and enjoyed Courtney and Mandy's commentary. And we threw our bikes and sometimes people over the ditch every day. And enjoy the journey, and felt sorry for the younger generation, Alicia and the sort, because you had a bridge. So sorry. I remember we waited outside the doors of the front porch for the pool to open, and we never left. And when we went home, and Spencer told me, as he led our row of bikes out in the dark, Steph, he said, never look directly into the cars at night because there's skinless people there. And I can barely drive at night, even to this very day. Serious. And we waited and we played so hard that I don't remember it ever being hot. And we laid out with baby oil, for God's sake, unaware. I remember just being with my brothers and my cousins and my friends and my neighbors and being children. And that's why we're here. When my dad died, we gave a photo of my dad to all of his 9 living brothers and sisters. And on the back of it, I remember, as part of my mourning, because I'm the kind of woman that heals through words, that we wrote a couple words, Mom and I, and it said the word remember. A word we used quite often, every day we use the word remember. And the word means to bring something together that has been separate, to bring it back together again. And together we bring together, many things. We bring together friends and stories and generations and a mission. And for Mom and my brothers and I, that mission is simple. It's children, it's kids. And that's where my father and I, and as well as most of our family, find a common mission. For nearly 45 years now, people have come together to make this ground that lies beneath our feet a place where little feet can run and play. Where little feet can run and follow big feet and learn what it means to be honorable men and women. Men like my best friend, well, my first best friend, my only friend for 9 months, Stuart Clouatre, who meets with his troop regularly here in this space. He teaches and gives hours and days and weekends of his life to young men who could never repay him, and maybe who will always remember him as well. And my dad believes in that, and he would be so proud of you, Stuart. He's like so many of you here who continue to spread and spend years teaching not only a skill, but character, sportsmanship, and endurance to children on the fields and in scouting and various groups. Thank you for being the sort of men and women who value children and continue this mission that the original board fought so earnestly for, and that my dad so highly valued. So we thank you for the memories, for the remembering, and we thank you to those of you that gave us such beautiful childhood. And here's the important part, and there's a pretty important name that's gonna go up of a pretty important child who became an ever greater man, who spent every minute of every waking moment of his life fighting not only for forming this land, but forming relationships and providing for a better future for every child, and not only in Santa Ma, but in Ascension Parish. So let us remember, and more importantly, let us do what Roger J. Clouatre would do, and let us get to work.
I can remember back in '67, or maybe it was '68, Somebody said, let's build a Santa Mar Park. Man, we just couldn't wait. It all started with clearing the land, with sticks and weeds piled high. Pip Levo stirring the pot. We always ate jambalaya. Elisar, Frederick, Marchand, Godin, Boudreaux, Sheets, Riley, Clouatre, Morgan, Lambert, Babin, Gautreaux, many, many more. Born on the bayou. Born on the bayou. Born on the bayou and raised at the Santa Mar Park. Next, we built the ball fields, and people were on chosen teams. We had electric tape on our football helmets, but our jerseys were blue, yellow, maroon, and green. The Spark Plugs, the Green Devils, the Yellow Jackets, and the Blue Runners. Once we even had an elegant homecoming pageant, some talent shows, special guest appearances, Charlie Pride, Chuck Berry, Al Long, and the fabulous Steve-O. At homecoming, some of the boys, they went barefoot with no shoes on their feet. They had girls on their arm, pads on their shoulders, but not a sign of football cleats. Born on the bayou. Born on the bayou. Born on the bayou and raised at Santa Mar Park. Later came the big time with the swimming pool in the building, change house and concession stand, ball tournaments, Toot, Italia, and Spanky too. Now Spanky was in charge of checking to see if you had a patch on your swimming suit. If you didn't have that patch on, you wasn't getting in. What about our first Olympic water gymnasts, Dean Stacy and Benji LeBourgeois? They put a fence around the swimming pool to keep them from diving straight off the high diving board straight in the bayou. Can you do a 1.5? What about Spencer's green hair? Born on the bayou. Born on the bayou. Born on the bayou and raised at Santa Mar Park. Well, Mama used to drop the gang off here with each $1.25 to spend. You could buy a Buzzy Special, barbecue Fritos, and still have money left over. You finally reach the concession stand, you open, you're going to buy a red coolie, only to get greeted by Miss Regina. Slam that door down in your face. Go away, boy. I'm going to tell your mama. Born on the bayou. Born on the bayou and raised at the Santa Mar Park. Well, that old flame didn't burn too long, maybe 10 or 15 years. Now we just ride by and stare at the place, remembering our laugh, our cries, and our tears. And oh, what great days we had at the park, what great times gone by, at the land of the little blue patch, the world famous SBI. Roger J. Clouatre Memorial Park, thank you so much.
The park, you know, was a place where we learned to give and take. It was a place of true recreation, where we learned to play sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. That's where we learned to dance, right here in this place. It was a place where Roger was our boss at times, but our brother second. It was a place where people came to Roger. They came with problems and they left with solutions. They came with challenges and left inspired, with self-pity at times and left feeling blessed. Roger made sure that you understood what you had and how you were blessed. He left you no option but to solve your own problems. If you ask Roger for an opinion, just be prepared for the answer. And the answer generally was that you needed to take more ownership, and you needed to be accountable. Roger would say you're either Teflon or Velcro. Well, Raj, he was Velcro. Problems and challenges stuck with him. He didn't rest until he found a solution. He took ownership of an issue. And for those of us that were blessed to know him well, knew he certainly took ownership. As I look back, he blessed us and provided us with opportunities. But he was more than just a brother to us here. He was a coach. He was a coach for us in baseball and basketball and football. He thought he was an expert on just about everything, and if you gave him a while, he'd convince you of it.
I'm proud to say that right now, through the work of all these guys and Roger's dedication also, that we probably on our 4th generation of enjoying the park. And that's something that I know my dad would have been proud to know, and a lot of you guys, Dad, and your grandfathers, that this place is still functional, still vital, and still serving the youth of Ascension Parish in the community of Santa Monica.
Roger and I started dating in the 7th grade, and we were married upon his return from Vietnam in 1969. He has always been a man for the community seeking cooperation. Today, during the tribute, I want to pass our deepest thanks to public officials and volunteers which have made this possible.
This place truly needs to be called Roger Clouatre Park because of what he did, and not only as a member of the park committee, but as a member of Ascension Parish, as a resident of Ascension Parish, and as a school board member. When he worked at Vulcan, he would do anything, reach out to help anybody. If you needed a job in the summer, Roger, you'd go to Roger and say, Roger, man, I got some folks that need a job for the summer, some students, and he would always come through. And like I said, he was just a great human being, and I loved him like a brother, and I think, more than think, that's why I brought up that we need to name this park Roger J. Clouatre Park.
This is a great tribute to Roger. As some of the brothers and the family members, we humble ourselves to walk in his footsteps and to try to look back on him as a mentor Spencer was talking about, for the things that we do in everyday life and the things that we want to achieve in life, and how we see ourselves within the community, and especially within our family. And it's not a day goes by that I don't think about it.
We're truly blessed. This family is truly blessed. Look around this room right now, and there are so many very important people, not just in stature as far as the public is concerned, but important to our family. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate you.
Without Roger's leadership, I don't think this park would be what it is today. I don't know what it would be, but I know it wouldn't be Santa Monica Park anymore.
It's a place where we could tell Mom and Dad, I'm going to the park. Or any child could say, I'm going to the park, and their parents weren't worried about them. What a great place. He was dearly loved and respected. We're all better for knowing him and for that experience with him and his participation out here. He was a very special person. And I know we all hope in some way that the young athletes that pass through this park come to know his contributions to our community and are inspired by his legacy and become the next generation of leaders.